Hello, we're going to have a look at the GOSS FOI module right now and have a look at its functionality and describe how it works. So here we've got our demonstration site here where we're going to start the process of raising a new FOI request. So in we go to the form on the website. We're not going to be logged in, so initially we start off with asking the request itself, and then we'll collect some details afterwards. So what's our preferred method of contact? Email, phone, post. I'll select the email box and then pop our details in here. Okay, quick confirmation of what we're submitting. So how much do we spend on tea and coffee? Email's the preferred method of contact, and my name. So there's our request, all nice and simple and made on the website, and we have a reference number to follow up for any inquiries. We also received an email which just popped into my inbox showing our confirmation of our FOI. So it is, and I can view my case by selecting on the link here. So now as a staff member, I'm going to log in to staff portal to pick up the new FOI to process it. So logged in, and we'll navigate to our services area where we've got our FOI section. So in here, we've got an area for the FOI team, and here we can see the new case has just come in. So we've got an FOI from Andy on the 11th of May. So we're going to select that one. We can review what the details are before we choose to claim it. And then we can go through and start to process the FOI itself. So there's a few key things we want to do with an FOI. Obviously, we want to understand what it's about. We need to do that within a certain time frame. And we need to potentially get answers from different members of the organization. So just to check again, we're asking how much is spent on tea and coffee annually. So typically what we would start with is firing out questions to other members of the business. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to collect some information from different teams. So we'll just show one example of that in here now. So I'm going to ask the bins and recycling team, anyone in that team, how much they in particular in their department spend on tea and coffee. So we put in the request here. And what we can do is we can choose to share the contact information of the originator request or the original details. So let's include the original details, but for GDPR, let's not necessarily share the information from the citizen with the team. So off that request goes. And we can see that task is now running. We've set it for the bins and recycling team. It's got a new status, and at any time we can view that. That's also been logged in the case history as well. So we've got that recorded. And an email has also been sent to the team as well. So what we need to do now is we need to log in as that other user. So I'm going to log out as the FOI manager and log back in as someone from the waste team. So logging in, we can see that we've got a request on our tiles here. So we can now go and look at that. And here it is to claim it. And off we go. So how much does our team spend? What the case did, the original request was how much we spend on tea and coffee annually. We'll get some information there. And we can attach a file to return it back to the original case. So that task has now been completed. and we can log out as that team user and log back in as the case FOI manager. So in here, again, we'll go back to our originating case, and we will provide some updates. So we can now see the response as we'll have been notified by email of that, but we can also view it within the case itself to find out what the team have spent. So from a waste perspective, they don't spend anything on tea and coffee, so that's great. So basically, there's sort of be two options here. Those questions would go out to various team members within the organisation, and we collate that feedback and get a response ready for the customer. In certain circumstances, there might be FOI requests that actually require a payment. So included within the FOI module is a request an FOI payment function. So for example, we could, if there were costs to collate this information for the user, we can redeem those costs via a payment request task. So, and we can set the payment to be flexible or fixed, or to be within a minimum maximum value. So we can put some notes in here to the user. Any attachments can be sent, and we can send that request off straight away. So off it goes to the user, and in turn, they will be sent an email shortly. And as again, we can see that task is logged. We can see it's pending payment over here. We can see also that the case SLA has been paused. So if I drop over here, the payment task itself can put the FOI on pause whilst we wait for that payment to process. So again, I've got an email to the citizen who can go and make their payment. So if we go over to follow the link for a £25 payment for the service request, and they can jump straight into the council's payment portal and fill in their details. And once the payment is confirmed, customer gets a reference number, and then if we jump back to the case and refresh, the case manager will be notified of that payment by email, and we can see in the tasks that the FOI repayment is closed. And if we look in the history, we can see the payment's been made of £25 with the reference number shown on the case. So the next thing to do would be to prepare our response on the FOI. So what we would do at this point is create our FOI response. And now what we can have is pre-designed templates. So we have a summary and a task. We can choose to share attachments, contact info, and the case details. So I'm going to share the case details from the originating request. And then we're going to start to prepare our formal FOI response, all of course within the timeframes. So it's going to go back to the originating user. I can choose from a selection of templates that I've predefined. And there's our response, giving reference to the business key. And we scroll down and we send. So that FOI has now been dealt with and completed. And what we can see is if we refresh on screen, the response will be sent to the customer. So if I drop over into my email over here, we can see the templated response has been sent and received by the customer. And then the case manager can close the case. So case is completed. all actioned and response sent. And that is the FOI module from a user perspective. In addition to that, obviously what's useful is to automate a lot of the performance information behind this. So included on the website with the FOI module is some response performance statistics. Here we can automatically display on the website just how many FOI requests we've had, how many have been closed this week, and their average time to close, and the reason for their closure. So we don't have to generate these in manual reports. We can produce these automatically for customers to view straight away. So some really useful statistics in there. And they can also see the active requests. So they can see there are currently 9 cases open and 5 with a breached SLA. Again, you may not necessarily show all of this information, but it is possible for you to do so if you wanted to. Thanks for joining us, and speak soon.